Ambassador Angela Navarro of the Bolivian government, and we all know that she and the government of Bolivia has been taking the lead in asserting the notion of climate debt in the negotiations. So I'm going to not waste time and hand it over to her right now. Thank you, Angelica.
Thank you very much.
Mike.
I'm not sure, yeah, thank you very much, actually, and I have to say that your initial applause goes straight to the heart, because I have to tell you that negotiating in the other center, that is the Bella Center, is quite tough. So I'm here to tell you the initiative of Bolivia, what we think, but also to seek your help on trying to push our common agenda. What we are living, and I'm sad to say, is a very untransparent, undemocratic, non-participatory, top-down process. You heard what was the leaked paper from the presidency. So I'm not talking only about process, but the content also. Just forgetting about developed countries' commitment that is killing the Kyoto Protocol, just getting one agreement that will implement new commitments to developing countries to make us pay for something that we didn't really make. And I heard, but I will have the confirmation in a couple of hours, that also our president in the negotiations is preparing or cooking something surprise for us. And we need your help. We need your help to make this process really democratic, really participatory, inclusive, and bottom up. Otherwise, I don't know what we are doing, 190 countries, putting all our efforts, small developing countries putting a lot of money to come here, if this deal will be cooked between 30 or 40 countries. I don't think that 30 or 40 countries have the right just to impose a solution, so-called, an unfair, unbalanced, and unjust solution in 192. I don't want that to happen, and we need your help to redress this imbalance and have a real democratic process. So I hope you can teach the Bella Center leaders and also the Danish presidency on what is democracy, on what is participation, on what is inclusiveness. Please do help us on that. We need your help. Thank you. We need you.
I am not being hyperbolic when I say that I think that what's going on in this room over the course of these 3 sessions, and it's a conversation that's going to continue tomorrow, is the most important thing that is happening in the context of this climate summit in Copenhagen. Over at the Bella Center, a particular model of dealing with climate change is dying. It is revealing itself before the world as nothing more than a final scramble for the remaining resources of a planet in peril. That's what's going on at the Bella Center, and when you're in there, you can feel it. It feels really ugly. There was a protest yesterday of people from Tuvalu, and they were making themselves visible. They were talking about the absence of their future, the disappearance of their country, which is a form of genocide. It meets the UN definition of genocide, which is the acts that lead to the disappearance of a people. And as they were staging this protest, you watched people in business suits file by and look at their shoes and try not to meet their eyes, and in the way that you see people in the streets avert their eyes in the face of a homeless person. But this was a country that was disappearing, and that's what it feels like over there.
Maybe we need to ask ourselves if the summit, with its participants, with its logic, with its aspect of being such a huge spectacle, really the solution, or is it part of the problem? And I think that we need to think about the way that our ecological impending crisis is being talked about and being reduced to a single molecule of CO2. This is an extremely reductionist view of looking at nature, and also I think it's very similar to something that happened with the biological sciences. part of the whole reason why GMOs have been propagated through the companies is because genes were commodified. A unit of life was identified and called a gene and was commodified and marketed. Now we're seeing the same thing happening with a molecule of CO2. And this is exactly what's trying to be pushed through these carbon trading markets, etc. So I think that this emphasis on carbon is really a distraction from having a holistic understanding of nature, of ecology, of possible ecosystem collapse. And it really distracts us from really challenging what industrial capitalism has developed and brought forward to us. Of course, this kind of understanding is extremely incompatible with what's happening inside the summit. And I think we should be really kind of honest with ourselves and think about this.
Why was agriculture ignored? The first thing is the modeling was largely started by atmospheric physicists. You know, James Hansen and people like that. And they look at the air. From the air, they realize the burning of fossil fuels is what is causing all of the climate problem. So from there, they've moved to all other energy sources, and they were stuck with energy. So they were stuck with the air, and then they were stuck with energy. We are now reaching the level where we are finding out what happens on the ground decides what happens in the air. Part of it is now bringing agriculture into the discussion. But while we recognize that industrial agriculture is a problem, and there are solutions, and besides the session on 13th, tomorrow morning there's going to be a session at which Patrick Holden of the Soil Association and I will be speaking in the green room on organic as a climate solution. But we have to simultaneously prevent false solutions, like the biotech industry claiming to contribute to carbon sequestration, like the biochar and biofuel industry claiming to be a solution. So while the recognition of agriculture is vital, the wrong analysis of agriculture could be a major threat to farming communities of the South and farming everywhere. The land grab that's taking place in the name of climate solutions around the world is unbelievable. 11 million hectares in India are being planted with jatropha for biofuel. I'm sure Milind can give you stories of the millions of hectares being grabbed in Africa, Latin America. So the false solutions come faster than we can ever imagine, which is why the decentralized solutions become very, very important, and more democracy at the local and national level becomes very important.
The money of corporate America, as well as global corporatism, is supporting a debate that really clouds the issue. So bottom line is that Obama is incapable of getting a consensus out of Congress so long as corporate America is able to create a discourse that suggests that greater regulation of emissions is going to result in greater unemployment, right? Loss of current employment, right? The inability, if you will, for American citizens to continue their way of life. This discourse has encouraged divisiveness, strife, lack of solidarity among the people around the climate issue, because it's been framed as an attempt to lower the standard of living, if you will, for Americans, and we cannot get a great deal of agreement, if you will, without subjecting it to this kind of political discourse. The other thing that's real interesting about what's going on with the climate issue is that the global corporate movement has kind of co-opted the entire movement. I mean, now we have a green economic policy, if you will, that is being adopted by the major corporations. So the intention is to continue capitalism within the context of this green economy. So we've got some issues with regard to whether or not that is going to also continue to diffuse the issue with regard to any real fundamental change with respect to climate change. All right, so Barack Obama, new president, a strong mandate from the people to do take progressive action and strong action with respect to these issues, finds himself kind of with his hands tied because he's going to have to get congressional approval, if you will, to enter into any kind of a treaty. He doesn't want defeat at this early stage in his presidential career, and so he's walking very carefully with regard to this particular issue. The global corporate community has made it relatively clear what it is that it demands in order to continue its presentation of a green agenda. They want certainty and predictability. That means we want clear mandates with respect to the level of emissions that will be accepted, and we want a market, if you will, for the climate agenda, right? So that means they want cap and trade. They want to be able to do offsets. They want to be able to buy and sell. They want to create a market, if you will, for climate compliance. And this is the capitalist agenda. It's not going to be something that's going to be easy for Barack Obama as an executive to address. It is a widespread problem. It is going to require global movement in order to be addressed. And it's one of the reasons why solidarity around this issue is absolutely critical.
There's no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed and hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday to join us, and the